vessel had been associated with misfortune, leading some to speculate that she was a cursed ship long before her crew vanished without a trace. A ship with a dark past. Could the Mary Celeste have been cursed long before its crew vanished without a trace? Long before Captain Briggs and his family set foot on her decks, the vessel had acquired a reputation that made sailors uneasy. The troubled history of this seemingly ordinary merchant ship added another layer to the mystery that would eventually surround her abandoned state in the Atlantic. The ship that would become infamous as the Mary Celeste began life under a different identity. She was originally christened the Amazon when launched in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, in 1861. Built by Joshua Dewis, the 103-foot brigantine was constructed of locally sourced hardwood, primarily white oak and pitch pine, with 2 masts and a modest cargo capacity of 198 tons. By technical standards of the time, she was a solid, serviceable merchant vessel, unremarkable in design but well built for the Atlantic trade routes. The Amazon's troubles began almost immediately. During her maiden voyage, her first captain, Robert McClellan, fell ill and died. This initial misfortune marked the beginning of a pattern that would shadow the vessel for years. Within her first decade at sea, the Amazon suffered an improbable series of mishaps that suggested to superstitious sailors that the vessel itself carried a dark cloud of ill fortune. In 1867, the battered Amazon ran aground during a storm off Cape Breton Island. The damage was extensive enough that her owners abandoned her to the insurance underwriters. Most vessels with similar damage would have been broken up for salvage, but the Amazon was purchased at auction by Alexander McBean, who invested in significant repairs before returning her to service. The repaired vessel continued to encounter difficulties under new ownership. She collided with fishing equipment in the English Channel, struck a small vessel in the Strait of Dover, and damaged her rigging in several minor incidents. The frequency of these accidents raised eyebrows among the maritime community. Most troubling was the financial performance of the ship. She consistently operated at a loss, becoming a burden to each owner who took her on. By 1868, the troubled Amazon had changed hands several times, with each owner seemingly eager to rid themselves of the vessel after experiencing its apparent propensity for mishap. Following a particularly damaging collision, she was sold to Richard W. Haynes, an American businessman who saw potential in the damaged vessel despite its ominous reputation. Haynes commissioned an extensive renovation in 1869, during which the ship was rebuilt and modernized. As part of this transformation, she was renamed the Mary Celeste, a significant detail in maritime tradition, where changing a vessel's name was sometimes done to alter its fortunes. The renovation was thorough, essentially creating a new vessel from the bones of the old. Her hull was extended, her rigging reconfigured, and her internal structures rebuilt to modern specifications. The registry of the vessel was transferred from British Canadian to American, and she was reclassified as a brigantine. When the Mary Celeste sailed from the shipyard in 1870, she was practically a new ship, though one built around an older frame haunted by a troubled history. Following this renovation, the Mary Celeste enjoyed a brief period of successful operation. She completed several voyages without incident between 1870 and 1872, suggesting that perhaps her streak of bad luck had ended. During this period, the vessel came under the partial ownership of Captain Benjamin Briggs through a consortium of investors, a common practice that spread financial risk among multiple parties. Despite having the option to command other vessels, Briggs specifically chose the Mary Celeste for the November 1872 voyage to Genoa. This decision suggests he had no concerns about the seaworthiness of the vessel or any superstitions regarding her past, either unaware of the whispered warnings that followed the ship or confident enough to dismiss them. It's unclear whether Briggs was fully aware of the ship's troubled history before acquiring his ownership stake. Maritime records of the time were not centralized, and a vessel's reputation often traveled through word of mouth. However, as an experienced captain with extensive connections in the shipping industry, It seems likely he would have heard at least rumors of the vessel's prior misfortunes. The question of whether Briggs knew the full extent of the Mary Celeste's checkered past adds another dimension to the mystery. If he was aware of the ship's history, his decision to command her anyway speaks to his confidence in the renovation. If he was unaware, the coincidence of his choosing a supposedly unlucky vessel for what would become his final voyage adds an eerie element to the narrative, as though the ship's cursed fate had lured him aboard. After the discovery of the abandoned Mary Celeste, many observers connected the vessel's earlier troubles with her crew's disappearance. The idea of a cursed ship provided a convenient explanation for the mystery. Newspapers emphasized the ship's unfortunate history, sometimes embellishing it with fictional details to enhance the narrative of a doomed vessel. In reality, the connection between the Amazon's early misfortunes and the Mary Celeste's abandonment is tenuous. The extensive renovation had essentially created a different vessel, and the ship had operated without incident for nearly 2 years before the fateful voyage. The problems experienced by the Amazon were common hazards of maritime commerce in the 19th century. Nevertheless, the ship's troubled past contributed significantly to the supernatural theories that emerged following the discovery. In the public imagination, the Mary Celeste became a cursed vessel that had finally succumbed to some dark fate pursuing it since its launching day. After the Mary Celeste was brought to Gibraltar and the investigation concluded, she returned to service for another 12 years, changing owners several more times despite her notorious reputation. Her ultimate fate came in 1885, when she was deliberately wrecked off the coast of Haiti as part of an insurance fraud scheme, an inglorious end for a vessel that had achieved such infamous status.